Hi there, it's Ardith, and today I've made a pretty butterfly thank you card using stamps and dies from Catherine Pooler Designs. Faithful Flutterings is a pretty layering set that was released a few months ago, and this week Catherine released matching dies for the butterflies. I started by stamping my butterflies using second generation stamping. I line up my butterfly where I want it on my panel, and I open the door of my stamp positioner. I lay down a post-it note, and I just double check that the stamp will land onto the post-it note. I ink up my stamp and I stamp at full strength on the post-it note. I remove that and then I stamp the image again. This gives a softer color and allows me to get a monochrome look that still has some contrast when I use the layering stamp in the same color. I used the new matching dies to cut 2 masks for my butterflies so that I can do some ink blending later. Because I want the butterflies to overlap each other, I placed a mask over the pink butterfly before following the same steps to stamp the yellow one. I've recently re-inked my Catherine Pooler ink pads. It's easy to do and it's really important to ensure that you get a great impression every time you stamp. Because I use these inks so much with daubers and ink blenders and even for watercoloring, they do tend to dry out a bit, and having the re-inker on hand is a lifesaver. Okay, time for the ink blending. Like many people, I have a grid on my work surface and it's so useful for lining things up and keeping things straight. I'm creating a horizontal strip on my card panel that I will blend some inks onto to provide a background for my butterflies. I'm starting with Melon Ice, a fresh yellow-green. Because I'm left-handed, I like to work left to right, even if that means turning my panel upside down. I use a light hand to blend the ink into the horizontal strip and over the butterflies. I turn the panel around and I start again with It's a Boy. This time I came in a bit heavier to begin with, but I just kept blending until I had a fairly even color. I spritzed the blended inks with some water, dried it with a paper towel, and now it's time to remove the masks. The masks are damp from the water, so I want to remove them carefully and right away to prevent the water from soaking through to the butterflies and reacting with that ink. Now I'm quickly stamping the butterfly bodies with blackjack ink. You can line them up on your stamp positioner if you want, but I just used an acrylic block. I'm going to use this thanks die to cut my sentiment out of my little scene, and then I'll pop it up with layers of white cardstock to make it visible but subtle. I cut 3 more die cuts from white cardstock. I want my sentiment to be 3 layers high, but because I cut the top layer from the panel, I need to fill in the panel with another white die cut. Does that make sense? I use tiny dots of liquid adhesive. I find that this gives me time to play with the die cuts and get them lined up perfectly before I lay a large acrylic block on top for even pressure while the glue sets. To assemble my panel, I use a piece of computer paper cut slightly smaller. I coat it with adhesive with lots of it in the area where the die cut will land. This means I don't have to put more liquid adhesive on the back. I just find this method a bit easier. I adhere the paper to the back of my panel, flip it over, and carefully fit my sentiment into the holes. I've saved the little bits that go into the centers of the letters, and I'll lay them into the panel as well. And here's my card. I added some sparkling clear confetti from Pretty Pink Posh for sparkle. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.